as to why some of us are in this class. So my assumption is that you enrolled in this class because you want to sit at the center. You want to sit in the middle. And that's why in my instruction of research methods, I am very deliberate in punishing your mind. And then we'll reconstruct your mind as we start assembling our chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3 of the proposal. So I'm saying that over the past years, not year, I have frequently thought of Robert Frost's short poem, The Secret Sits. We dance around in a ring and suppose, but the secret sits in the middle and knows. And while I may not know Frost's secret, I don't know his secret, I do know there's more to life than dancing around the periphery. And this is something that has explained the predicament of many men and women on this earth, dancing around the periphery and thinking that they know. So today we are talking about artificial intelligence. And when you listen to the conversations around artificial intelligence, everybody seems to think they know. They suppose that they know. But you know, they can't know about artificial intelligence because they're sitting at the periphery. So right now at Daystar University, I've been engaged with artificial intelligence for the last 3 years intensively, including attending conferences and now being on this board for the impact of artificial intelligence in higher education in the world. And, you know, that is the predicament of Africa. And I'm very anxious. I'll be attending a conference in South Africa on artificial intelligence, where we are going to assess where we are in terms of artificial intelligence. So at Daystar, we are going into application of AI. And I'm hoping that in my class, this class and the policy class, will be able to entice you to just to see how you will be engaging with artificial intelligence in the virtual environment. So, you know, we will keep on talking about artificial intelligence in Africa, and all we know is that you can ask artificial intelligence to write you an article on research methods, and then they give you an article and then you submit it. That's how far we go. But in other communities of scholars, students and lecturers alike are using artificial intelligence to get to the roots of why, for example, we have had these different types of congregations in the research space. Why do we have qualitative? Why do we have quantitative? And how can I deepen the difference between those two types of, call them paradigms, and be able to come out with a strand of methodology that will help me analyze the financial bill of 2026, 2027 in the Republic of Kenya. That will enable me to model the universal health coverage and bring out a model that will give us better options, particularly for the vulnerable groups in the country. That a model that will help me understand the implications of affordable housing. In the next decade, what will be the implications? What is the impactfulness index of that policy, that initiative? That's how the rest of the world is using artificial intelligence. And they're actually generating prototypes. So some of us are challenged to the limit, stretched to the limit. And I'll be looking at your topics for your master's thesis and see which students among you have that kind of ambition of wanting to sit at the center. And we try to expose them as much as possible. Because tomorrow you are the vice chancellors and the professors of the Republic of Kenya and beyond. Yes, I know that safety, familiarity, and comfort reside on the edges of life. And I want you to note, yes, I know. And me, I know that the safety, familiarity, and comfort reside on the edges of life, away from the heat and the heart. But I also know that wisdom, truth, beauty, fulfillment, and divine mystery reside in the center. That I also know. So anytime I have students, I want them to sit in the center, not in the periphery, where it is safe, it is familiar, and it is comfortable. But rather, I want you to sit at the center where there is the heat. You have to sacrifice. There is also the passion, the heart. Why? Because I know that wisdom, truth, beauty, fulfillment, and divine mystery reside in the center. And by the way, we continue to be designated as a third world. We continue to be called people from the South because of that. We are not prepared. So when somebody hears that Daystar is engaged in a spatial AI infrastructure, they want to go into virtual space, and the project is about 1 billion, it's about 900 million. They ask why. I mean, they ask how, but Daystar asks why not. So if you have a mentality that pushes you to the center, why are you going to the center? Because you're looking for wisdom, you're looking for truth, you're looking for beauty, you're looking for fulfillment, and you're looking for, I like this word, divine mystery. Divine mystery. Wow. If you are there, then you know why. Let me give you an example. We all know that and if I told you Psalms 23, we all know this verse. We know it very well. And we say, we say, the Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd, that I shall not, I'm printing that, I shall not want. Do you know, many of us recite Psalms 23, as we were saying the other time, but you have never derived the divine mystery that is embedded in this Psalm of David. So the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Do you know, if you internalize that verse, you will experience divine mystery. So, because if you're a believer, then you know that the Lord is your shepherd. The Lord is in control. The Lord dictates where you're going, and you shall not want. You know, yesterday, I want to remember this very well. There is a student who came to my office from Western uh, about a week ago, not yesterday, and she met me when I was doing performance improvement in schools, and she chased my email and what, and kept on writing to my office. She went to Jomo Kenyatta. She dropped out because she couldn't afford the fees, and so she writes a very tearful email, and I tell her, "Can you try and come and see me?" And she arrives, and she has, since she dropped from Jomo Kenyatta, she had a B, I think a B plane or a B plus. She's just at home in Kakamega. And so she comes and she has an admission to Siaya MTC, and they want 82,000. And she says, my parents can help with my accommodation, my transport, but God has said, you will help me. And I said, yes. Did I have the money? No, I didn't have the money. Even now, we are sending the money tomorrow, by the way, to MTC Siaya. Because I know the divine mystery. When you believe that He is your shepherd, you shall not want. So I will not want. I will get that fees for that girl. And I'm giving you a good example. Today, I was invited. Today, I was invited at the department at the National Defense College. I was invited some time back to go and facilitate. So I went today. Very busy. I was very reluctant, so I went there. So I facilitated for 40 minutes. I'm talking about the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. So when we finished the facilitation, they were very grateful. It was me and Kioni. Kioni was the outgoing VC from Dedan Kimathi, and then the PS for ICT. We were the three panelists presenting. And when we want to leave, they say, no, come and have a cup of tea, and this is your transport. And for 40 minutes, I was given 50,000 shillings. I have it in my envelope. And now tomorrow morning,
Amen.
Magdalene is going to send that money to Siaya because it wasn't part of me. But how do you get to earn 50,000 in 30 minutes? You must have dared to know that wisdom, truth, beauty, fulfillment, and divine mystery reside in the center. So I'm urging this class, even as we get now deep, and today the class will be a little demanding. As we get into research methodology, this is the nexus, this is the center, this is the heart of you're doing a master's or a PhD degree in Desa University. But then my question is, how many will want to sit at the center? How many of you are going to run to artificial intelligence and get answers and submit? You are the ones who are dancing around in a ring and supposing that you know, and yet the secret sits in the middle and knows. And I know that it is possible to go through your entire life without actually living your life. Do you know that? Many of us will have been on this earth, but we shall never have lived. Yeah. And that thought terrifies me because, to a large extent, I feel like many of us have been on this path for decades, a path that merely leads round and round the periphery. And I thank God for bringing you for this master's course, because I know one of the things that has brought you is that you're beginning, or you have a desire to dance at the center, to know, to be wise, to know the truth, to appreciate the beauty of intellectual prowess and fulfillment, and very, very important, to engage, to encounter divine mystery. So I hope that we are going to leave this path of dancing around the periphery. And I'm just talking to you. I have lived that life, part of the life of where I've wasted more time running around the periphery until that realization came to me. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to write. It's time to experience divine mystery. It's time to commit. It is time to dive in. And more importantly, it is time to live. That song that says, "Look and live, my brother, live." It's all about that. So, you know the predicament of this continent. A country engages in a program, in a major reform, but they have never dared to go to the center of that reform. They are dancing on the periphery, and they suppose that they know. And it's my prayer that going through this class, my class, and my colleagues' classes, we will learn the beauty of punishing ourselves to dance in the center. And what a day that will be. What a day that will be. So I don't know, when we go to church, whether some of us just sing songs because songs are there. But what a day that will be when we are able to dance at the center in what we do. So I'm looking forward to very, very interesting engagements with you. I want you to change your mindset. You are almost 150 of you. I would like to see as graduates 130 plus at a go as a cohort, because we shall all have been dancing at the center. So we'll have gained the wisdom. We'll know the truth. We'll know the beauty of completion factor mentality in our lives. And let me tell you, when you offer yourself to that heat at the center, it's amazing what God can do in your life. Some of us are really dedicated to converting many of you and pulling you away from that periphery of ethnicity, that periphery of corruption, that periphery of mediocrity, and pull you to the center so that you can become what God wanted you to become. Rose Mutai, pray for us, please.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, in the mighty name of Jesus, we are so grateful for another time, another chance, another opportunity that you have given us, oh God, even to learn, and more so even the word that we have received this evening. Father, we want to say thank you for the word that you have encouraged us, that you are our shepherd. And as we begin our class, as we continue in this journey, oh God, I pray that you will continue to be our shepherd and we shall lack no good thing, oh God, because you will lead us, you will guide us, you will direct us. Give us the courage that we may dance in the middle, oh Jehovah God. Father, we ask that you forgive us for the many times that we have danced in the periphery. And tonight, Lord, you have encouraged us to dance in the middle because you are with us, you are our shepherd. And I pray, Father, for my colleagues, oh God, that you will give courage to each and every one of us, that we shall dance in the middle. You will give us the wisdom, oh God, that we need. You will give us the truth, the beauty, the fulfillment, the desires of our hearts, oh God. We pray for your blessing upon our Professor Ayiro, oh God, even for the words of wisdom that he has given to us. I pray for him, Lord, even as he guides us in this class, that your wisdom will continue to abound the more. Guide him, lead him, direct him, and renew his strength. Grant him your peace, oh God, and the joy that comes from you. Thank you, Father, for the opportunity that you have given us. We pray that you guide us throughout this class until we finish, for it is in Jesus' name that I pray and believe. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rose. That's a very impactful prayer.
Amen.
And may the Lord make us witness what you have just said.
Amen.
This morning, this evening, I would like to get into some bolts and nuts of research methods. I introduced it last time, but I would like to bring you up to speed with the mechanics of research as we build your understanding before you start trying to craft your chapters for your proposal. I want to emphasize that this course is so deliberately structured. It is deliberately structured such that by the time we are writing our proposals, it will become very evident on where we are going as a class. And that's why I don't know how to say it, but missing class, I know this is sometimes is inevitable, and I understand. We all understand that. Even me, sometimes maybe once or twice, I might tell you I can't do the class because of reasons beyond my control. But I would like to encourage all of you to seriously make it almost a religion that you would like to attend, you would like to be in class, because only then can we get you to where we want you to go. I'm trying to share something brief before I move on to that. I would like to convince you beyond reasonable doubt that if you ground yourself into this area, everything else falls in place. If you are truly grounded in this area of research methodology. So I'm very anxious to see that everybody has a deep understanding of what research methods is, and that they are prepared to give it their best. So I want to broadly get you to understand. And Caro, I don't know why I'm not able to share automatically. I want to get you to understand the mechanics of research. The mechanics of research are not are not easy, are not obvious. And so I'm going to be deliberate. I'm going to pump into you very many concepts, and then try to simplify them as we move along. Oh my God. Let me try this again. I'm trying to get to share something very important.
Right. As you look for it, maybe one reflection on this today.
Okay, yeah.
Sitting at the center. Any reflection? One or two people you want to reflect?
I would like to say that maybe Professor Ayiro is not the only one who will be terrified to know that he has been in this world for decades and not really lived. It's a sorry state to learn such a statement. And I know that, yeah, indeed, most of us could be hiding behind some things, but inside we know that we're not really living. May the Lord help us to really live, that whatever part of our lives is left, if it is 2 days, may we really live. And may the Lord be our shepherd indeed, that we shall not want. That was a really powerful presentation. God bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I've gotten what I wanted. I want us to use the iceberg metaphor for research methodology. And I want you to look at this very carefully. And I want my class from today henceforth to be students who will not be arguing in their minds, is it methodology or is it methods? Me, I don't know. And when you're asked in a defense, what's your methodology? You are wondering, and then you start telling us, oh, it is qualitative, quantitative, mixed methods. Methodology is the bigger umbrella, this one. Methodology is the bigger umbrella. Look at this. This is methodology. And I'm bringing this iceberg because we know that if you are a captain of a ship and you are in the North Pole, you normally see some ice sticking out of the ocean, and people call it the tip of the iceberg. But the iceberg itself, the mountain of ice, is below the surface in the sea. And if you are an ambitious pilot, a sailor or captain, you'll say my ship is as big as the hall in Valley Road, DAC. I can just smash through that iceberg, and you're only seeing the tip. So if you're not careful, you'll go and try to just sweep away the tip of the iceberg, and you find that your ship has hit a massive mountain below the ocean. So the tip of the iceberg metaphor comes into play. And of course, if it is a ship, it will be punctured and it will take in water and you will sink and become shipwrecked. So what am I saying? What we see on the surface, when we talk about quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods, that is just the tip of the iceberg. Below these terms, which I'm calling methods, under it, there's a huge amount of philosophical structures, philosophical terms that each researcher from this class, from Daystar, from the community of scholars across the world must know. So, methodology therefore represents the blueprint of research, everything. And in research, we have assumptions, we have logic, and I'm going to spend some time on ontology and epistemology. These are your bathroom terms. When you are in the bathroom, you'll be learning ontology, epistemology. Ontology, what did Ayiro say? Ontology is this, epistemology is this, and even learning to pronounce it. Then there is the philosophy. Under methodology, there is a philosophy. We shall be asking you in chapter 3, the beginning of chapter 3, to tell us your philosophical underpinnings, to tell us your research paradigms. Where are you? Are you a positivist? Are you an interpretivist? Or are you a pragmatist? One of those, or both of them, or the three of them, you will have to tell us, this research I'm going to do is positivist in orientation, or I'm an adherent to positivism, or it is constructivist in orientation. In other words, I'm an interpretivist, or I am a pragmatist in my orientation in terms of philosophy. So what am I saying? Methodology is the blueprint from the time you design your topic to the time you're giving us your conclusions and recommendations. So here, methodology plus philosophy plus logic plus assumption equal to methodology. So method plus philosophy plus logic plus assumption equal to methodology. So you are joining the congregation of researchers, and this is the language register. So I expect you to talk confidently about your methods, your research design. Is it quantitative? Is it qualitative? Or is it mixed? I want you to talk to me about your philosophy. Is this around positivism or constructivism or interpretivism? Or is it around pragmatism? What is your logic? How do you perceive reality? So your ontological perspectives. And how do you construct knowledge? How do you conceptualize knowledge? That is your epistemological standing. And what are the assumptions? So, ladies and gentlemen, when I attend defenses or when I go to conferences and I hear somebody struggling with the philosophical underpinnings of the research, not just the understanding, but even pronouncing the words, positivism, interpretivism, pragmatism, everybody is struggling. So my first assignment is that as a member of this congregation, cohort 3, our bathroom assignments is to be able to pronounce this over and over again. So that's the first part of the introduction. That methodology is the summation of method, philosophy, logic, and assumption. I will elaborate on this in a short while. Now, I would like to take some time and cover in detail this presentation. Just a minute. Just give me a minute. Let me get this down. I want to now go into details. And of what I've just said there, and my computer is such a crowded table, so please bear with me. Sometimes it is overloaded, as it were. Yeah, there we are. We'll get this running better than it is doing now. I have too many slides on the I hope that's more central. I'm trying to get it to centralize it. Yes, I have said that methodology involves methods, and it also involves methodology, which sits around the philosophies, the assumptions, the logic. So we'll start off this evening looking at research paradigms, and research paradigms are actually the philosophical underpinnings of your study. And a paradigm is a worldview or a philosophy. And the question I'll be asking is, where is the researcher coming from? What assumptions does he make And the answer is never none if you're a good researcher. There are major worldviews about research, and I would like you to associate with them. And these major worldviews are positivism or determinism or empiricism. So you are either in this paradigm of positivism or you are in the paradigm of constructivism. Leave advocacy, will come to that as a strand, but or you are in the realm of pragmatism. So you are either pragmatic, you are constructivist, or you are a positivist. You must, in research, be sitting in a certain domain, in a certain worldview. So you must be a Catholic, a Baptist, or a Pentecostal like me. Now, when we say you are a positivist, or you are in the realm of determinism or empiricism, what do we mean? And for me, in this class, because you are at master's level, I don't want you to try to engage with too many of these. I want you just to understand, are you a positivist? Are you in the realm of positivism? This one. Or are you a constructivist or constructivism? That one. Or, as we go on, are you pragmatic? So in the next slide, we shall be talking about, are you in the realm of pragmatism? There. Those are the three I want you to learn. When we advance, we shall introduce other philosophical worldviews. So what are these worldviews? These worldviews are what we call paradigms, are what we call philosophies of research. So if you are a positivist, if you sit in the realm of positivism, then you are engaged with research that looks at cause and effect, the scientific method. So if you are studying the quality of education, you'll be looking at factors that contribute to the quality of education. And you'll be measuring those factors. So it will be a cause and effect approach. You are doing experimentation and measurement to reveal objective reality. So those of you in psychology, you will do a lot of experimentation. But what is the essence of positivism? You are striving for objectivity. You are not subjective. You are not biased. So when you go to Kibera slums, you are just going to look at cause and effect. You're going to look at the number of houses. You're going to look at the spread of water and electricity. You're going to look at sanitation. You're going to look at the commercial aspects, cause and effect. And maybe the effect is to mitigate, to overcome poverty in the slum areas. When you are doing positivism, when you are a positivist, you are either, you are scientific, you engage in experimentation and measurement, and you are objective. So you don't go there and start crying about the predicament of the people in Kibera. And you start with a hypothesis. So those of you who will do your studies and you'll be talking about hypothesis, trying to test the hypothesis, then you are positivist in orientation. So you can't do research when we don't know your philosophical underpinning, when we don't know your worldview, when we don't know your paradigm. Then there is constructivism or interpretivism. Constructivism or interpretivism, reality is subjective and multiple. So if you're looking at the phenomenon of circumcision, it is subjective. Are you looking at circumcision among the Nandi people, or are you looking at circumcision among the Bukusus in Western Kenya? Or are you looking at circumcision among the Agikuyu in Central Province? So the reality is subjective and multiple. It is not objective. You cannot say circumcision involves this. You must define the area. You must be subjective. And when you are a constructivist, you seek to understand meaning as experienced by participants. So you are searching for meaning. For example, why, even when you are a president, I saw a president, when the daughter was wedding, they had a form of koito. Why? You must seek understanding. Why, among the Kalenjin people, why is koito so significant? Why can't they just do a wedding? Why do they go through all this? You are seeking understanding and meaning. Even for us at Daystar, why do we carry this very heavy burden with pleasure of being Christ-centered? Why? You must seek understanding. Look at the foundation of this university and look at the founders of this university and then see how it is managed. So the meaning of events is mediated by interactions with others and social and cultural context. So if you're going to do your study and you're a constructivist, then your reality is subjective and multiple. And you start with open-ended inquiry, and then later on, if you're lucky, give us a hypothesis and give us a theory about koito among the Tugen or among the Kayos. So in one, reality is subjective. Very important, reality is subjective. And I want you to note that in constructivism. In the other one, reality measurement can reveal objective reality. So here, reality is objective. Note that this is objective, and as you can see in my notes, I'm saying when you are a positivist, you strive for objectivity. You strive for objectivity all the time. And this one is subjective. I'm going to skip advocacy because I want you to use it as one of your strategies in research. But if you read through it, you'll begin to tell me, but this kind of looks like a constructivist paradigm, but let's not get there. Pragmatism. This is an analog of mixed method strategy. So I want you to note, once you are pragmatic, then you are in the area of mixed methods. You'll be both a positivist and a constructivist in terms of paradigm orientation. And it mixes aspects of other worldviews to get at what works. Being pragmatic, you really want to get at what is actually working, what works. So if I wanted to establish the dominance of circumcision among the Luyas, I will go and do the demographics and measure how many circumcisions, what is the age profile, what is the education profile, all that. What is the economic cost of circumcision for a home? But then I'll also go as an observer to see the young men come out of the river at 3 in the morning, smeared with clay. And I'll want to have meaning. Why is the ankle so prominent in this phenomenon of circumcision? So what am I doing? I am measuring the quantities that will tell us the magnitude of the practice of circumcision, but also I am making observations so that I can give voice to this phenomenon of circumcision. So what we are saying, that if you are pragmatic, and note this one, if you are pragmatic, there is no need for ideological consistency. When you are pragmatic, you don't say, me, I'm a constructivist, or me, I'm a positivist. There is no need for ideological consistency. You can be either. And we'll be doing mixed methods in detail later, because that is the paradigm I sit in most of the time. So you believe, if you are a pragmatist, you believe in objective reality, measurement, you believe in objective reality, but acknowledge that context, Luyas, Nandis, Kikuyus, context is inescapable. You can't ignore the deeper meaning, the cultural perspectives, the social impact. So you are also constructivist. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to pause there and say, you cannot do research if you don't tell us your world view, if you don't give us the philosophical underpinning, if you don't tell us your paradigm. And I have seen people doing research, and it's a shame, a national shame, people doing research without anchoring it in any philosophical underpinning. It is a shame. Even PhD, you read a PhD, you're looking at chapter 3, and there's no philosophy, and yet a PhD is a doctorate, it's a philosophy, it's a philosophical award, but you can't engage at that level. So this is the introduction, and note why we are doing this. I go back. Why are we doing research paradigms? Why are we talking about philosophies? Forget a moment about ontology, epistemology, and methods, but why are we doing research paradigms? It's because you must, the question we'll be asking is, where is the researcher coming from? What are your assumptions? What are your assumptions? Are you saying reality is subjective, constructivist? Are you saying reality is objective, positivist? And then we must understand the major worldviews, and at this level, I want you to internalize positivism, constructivism or interpretivism, and pragmatism. And when I say internalize, I mean you can pronounce those words freely, without effort, without embarrassment, because now you are a scholar, and a grounded scholar at that. I want you to look at this diagram, and I want to hear what you think of it.
Right. Thank you so much. Questions there? I know English, people say, did someone say English? What do they mean? The terms? Yes, the more you get accustomed to these terms, the better for you. Vincent, yes, Vincent.
So when I look at the diagram,
Mm-hmm.
the chicken has hatched, and it is an entry essentially into a different world from the world that they have previously existed in. And so the titling there, "Oh wow, paradigm shift," what it communicates to me is a mind change or a mind shift can literally result into entering into what would be a different world from the one you live in, even though physically or in terms of orientation, it's the same place, but you have moved into a different realm, as it were. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. You remember, this is a postgraduate class, so you're not married to Ayiro's mindset. Monica?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. When I look at the picture, it has the concept of which items comes first. Is it a chicken or is it a egg? Basically, it's a part of life whereby everybody thinks of how do things start and the means to an end. Do we always look at the means to an end like that's the reality, or we can have a judgment or a different point of view of an idea?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And this is a postgraduate class. There's no right or wrong answer. You just have to reason it out. Munachi, and then Charity, Nyawira.
Yes, thank you. When I look at the diagram, I see a chick hatched. So I'm thinking initially this chick, when it was inside the shell, its mind was limited. It wasn't as expansive as it is. So the chick has finally walked out or broken out of the shell, and it's seeing new things. So whatever beliefs it held while inside the shell have changed. Hence, oh wow, paradigm shift.
Yes. Yeah, really. And I want you to have a research mind. So now, the way the chick behaved and reasoned inside the egg is very different from how it will survive outside that egg. So there's a paradigm shift in the environment, even adaptability, even movement, even feeding, and so on. But let me continue to hear from some of you as we internalize this, because it's very important. Nyawira, and you are the one. Moses Otieno and Beryl Katutu.
Thank you so much. From my end, looking at this pictorial, I can be able to see a systematic process. Like before this chick breaks the whole shell, you find that there's some efforts that have been put in. It has taken some efforts for it to break that shell and to come out. So there was an objective of this chick trying to break, and also we can be able to see the results of this. Thank you.
Very good. Next. Beryl.
Okay,
Abraham.
thank you. I'm
Yeah.
here. I think I was next, Daktari.
Yes, Otieno. Is that Otieno?
Yes, this is Moses Otieno.
Proceed, yeah.
Thank you, Daktari. I think I want to first appreciate your explanation and the analogies and the metaphors, because I believe I really struggled in my undergraduate to get to know what these terms mean, but today I feel more confident that I better understand them than before.
Thank you.
So when I look at this picture and I relate it with the worldviews that you have shared with us, the positivist, constructivist, and the pragmatist worldview. Before I'm looking at this as a process. Now, when the chicken is inside the egg, the boundaries are predetermined. It cannot go beyond a certain cocoon. And I believe that is a positivist mindset that believes that truth is static and does not change in context. Then out here, outside the shell is a new feeling, but I don't know. I think I can define this new feeling as a constructivist approach, which believes that truth change. I think what is its feeling, the chicken is the same. The feeling inside the cocoon and the feeling outside here are different. Showing that there is a change of worldview and is looking at truth differently. It's looking at reality differently. Then finally, the pragmatists will live in both the two. Will live inside the shell and outside at the same time. So it's standing at the in those two regions. So that is my thought of and reflection. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's not the chicken, it's the chick, eh?
It's a chick.
The chick. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Maybe some of you are not seeing this, but I like what Moses is seeing. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be, when we all see Jesus, we'll shout and song for victory. There'll be a paradigm shift also. I don't know how it will be. I don't know whether there'll be Nyamachoma there. We don't know. None of us knows. So this is it. Let's listen to Beryl, Jacqueline, and then we shall stop at Anastasia because this is a very long presentation and I must go through it, and there's a part 2 also before we close the class. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. So my understanding of the image that you've shared with us, first and foremost, I'm seeing this chick breaking out of the shell. It wasn't, I don't think if you break an egg, most times if you break an egg, sometimes the chick will not come out fully matured, but if it breaks itself out, it comes out when it's ready to come out. So my view is it is quite literal. It has come out of the shell where it had been confined. And once it comes out, everything else just changes. But for this change to occur, it has to break from the shell and the confinement. So the kind of thinking, if I would put it, if it's because I'm a teacher of English, so I'm seeing this as a metaphor. Metaphorically speaking, sometimes for you to, you have to break free from something first for your view to change, for your perspectives to change. So I'm seeing it in such a way that it's entering a new stage of life. You know, this if you're talking about research paradigms, what they basically do is they open up new ways of thinking. But for you to open up new ways of thinking, you first have to break from your old ways of thinking and absorb these new ways of thinking to become a better researcher, a better person. And yeah, I think that's my take.
Thank you. Jacqueline, are you there, or was it Anastasia?
I'm there. Yeah. I'm there. Yeah. Yeah, there's so much you can read from that picture, but the fact that the shell is broken means there's a lot of effort that has gone into play. These chicks have been there for some time, but for this shell to break, effort has been made. And I'm also seeing the fact that the chicks are two. So there's combined effort there for that shell to be able to break. And one of the chicks seems to be looking back, those ones of, hey, where have I come from? I mean, how did I even stay here for this long? For their paradigm shift to be there. Sometimes you look back and you're like, yes, I needed to move from that place and be where I am right now. The walking style of the two chicks also shows some kind of pride, you know, being in the new area. There's some sort of satisfaction for the achievement that has been made. And also the fact that there are two chicks tells me two are better than one. Sometimes you need somebody to hold your hand to be able to experience the paradigm shift. Yeah, thank you.
Jack, is that Jack? No, it's Anastasia, is that
Jacqueline.
Anastasia? Jacqueline. I'm sure you have blown up, you have really disturbed the equilibrium of some people because they're asking, where is the second chick? And I can see you are really embedded in the fact that there are two chicks, but there are people who are seeing this as one chick. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Anastasia?
Thank you, Prof, and thank you for all the sharing that you've done and for all the encouragement that you've given us. Sometimes I listen to you and I get so encouraged in so many aspects. I sometimes think weirdly, and that is one thing I'm doing now, and I'm imagining I was to do research on these two objects, the shell and the chicks. And I'm imagining the shell would be really complaining about the process, because when I look at it, and I would be pushed to even feel sorry for it because of the nature of its look. It's really looking cracked and all that. So I was imagining doing a research in such a scenario where people are so broken, the process is so painful, what they're going through, it's so painful. And again, looking at what you have just taught us about being positive, constructivism, and pragmatism, and I'm asking myself, where would I be standing in that challenge of I'm interviewing, or rather I'm researching on a very broken environment. I'm researching a very broken environment. Where am I standing? Just picking a challenge of what you just shared with us. No emotions when we are doing research using positivism. And again, looking at the chicks, they would be in their own world. Maybe interviewing people or doing research among people who maybe a certain project has been done to them and they are so happy, they are up, but I want to really understand what exactly is behind that project, how it is benefiting them, and something like that.
Ruth Wambua, you are messing up our slides. Yeah, carry on. Yeah.
So I'm thinking at these two pictures from that level of just comparing the two, and if I was to do research in each of them, if there were maybe environments of people, but at the end of it all, it's about the process. So I'm also looking at the process of how that shell broke or crashed to bring about life. So that's where I'm. Yeah.
Okay, Eugene and Okoth, and we'll close now. Okoth Wilson and Eugene Abuajo, please.
Good evening, Professor.
To you, yeah.
I'll just go, I'll not waste time. I'm trying to, to me, this is kind of metaphorical. Metaphorical in the sense that the breaking of the egg, to me, it shows that the research paradigm protects and shapes ideas like the shell. But once the shell breaks, we can now see when the cheek comes out, because I cannot see the second one. Let me just be honest. Now new knowledge and understanding tends to emerge. Yes, that is my understanding of this.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, researchers, I'm just provoking your minds. That's where we're going. Okoth Wilson, and we close. Allow me to continue after this, please. Okoth? Okoth is not there. So, Njenga, Kimani, can we close with you?
Thank you, Prof. I think for me, I want to concur with the earlier student that for me, I do not see two chicks. I see only one chick.
Okay.
And since this is not an agreement class, so you will pick up from there. So for me, timing is of essence. There is some small incremental daily effort for this chick until they're able to come out from that cocoon of a shell. And for me, the paradigm shift is to know that one, yes, this chick has come out from where they are, but they're into a new world where there is freedom, but however, freedom is expensive. They'll have to grapple with the egos, the hawk, and the protection that will come from the mother. And those are things that probably we need to think through. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There was one person I wanted to give a chance to. Who was that?
Among the ones raising, there's Anastasia. There is.
No, Anastasia has already spoken. Caroline, is that Chepto?
Ngeno.
Chemngeno, yes. Please, Caroline. You are now the last, and then we continue.
According to me, I've seen that the shell now is done. It is finished and it is broken. And the chick is now going on with life. There is change between now. The shell has finished the work he was to bring life. Now the chick is going to grow and is going to have a lot to do in this world because now he's celebrating about he's out of the shell.
Yeah, are you there?
Yeah, she's saying the shell is celebrated. It has produced it. So
Okay. Now, are we still on the screen, Carol?
Yes, you're still on that particular.
Okay. So let's go on. By the way, what is your lecturer saying? That we will understand, we shall internalize the philosophical worldviews. Worldviews are philosophical stance. They are philosophical paradigms. And we will know who is a positivist, who is a constructivist, who is a pragmatist. That's what I'm saying. And then I've given you this drawing to keep telling you that you have these research paradigms. If you look at an egg embodying a chick within it, and now you see the chick outside, these are very different paradigms, conventions, and this should be embedded deeply in your mind as a researcher. So what is a paradigm? And allow me to read this. There are two definitions I love. The dictionary definition says a philosophical and theoretical framework of a scientific school or discipline within which theories, laws, and generalizations and the experiments performed in support of them are formulated. So this paradigm has something to do with philosophical and theoretical framework of a particular discipline. And it constitutes of theories, laws, and generalizations and experiments. But I like Kuhn, and remember Kuhn 1962. This is what we call a seminal definition. It has stood the test of time. It is almost becoming a law. So what does Kuhn, or what did he tell us? He told us the set of common beliefs and agreements shared between scientists about how problems should be understood and addressed. I love that. So I'll be giving you this presentation after I finish next weekend. You'll have this presentation before the next class. But just know that a paradigm. I don't want, when somebody talks of paradigms, you're thinking like, my God, what are those? Are those oranges in Wonderland? What are those? These are a set of beliefs and agreements shared between scientists or thinkers about how problems should be understood and addressed. Now, let's look into some of these definitions. And I'm using Denzin and Lincoln. Lincoln is one of the highest rated qualitative researchers in the world. And he says this: ontology. Ontology is ways of constructing reality, how things really are and how things really work. So ontology is your construction of reality. And you can have, let me talk about a table. You know, a table, depending on your worldview, the table in Ayiro's study here, where I am now, and maybe the table of a peasant at home are very different. Maybe the table for the peasant at home is a big sufuria overturned, or some flat plank of wood with 4 legs. But my construction of the reality of a table will be very different. But then, how things really are, we come to the fundamentals of what constitutes a table. So it doesn't matter fancy, not fancy, what is a table? Or what is a chair? Or what is a car? So that is ontology, the reality you encounter in life and how you construct that reality. You know, I've had people say that's their reality. I've had people say, you know, I don't know how people can live on ugali and sukuma wiki a whole month. Do you know the reality, how they look at things in terms of diet or in terms of a meal or in terms of dinner is very different. So ontology is ways of constructing your reality and how things really work and how things, and how things really are and how things really work. You have had people say, wacha waseme tu sijui na hizo Mercedes zao. Mimi, my Probox, they cannot even dare overtake me on Mombasa Road. Epistemology is the different forms of knowledge of that reality. So there are different types of cars, but essentially, we hope that everybody on this earth has a reasonable construction of the reality of what a car should look like, what it does. But epistemology is the different forms of knowledge of that reality. What nature of relationship exists between the inquirer and the inquired? How do we know? So I normally tell my students, epistemology is the structuring of knowledge. It is the organization of knowledge. That is it, the structure of knowledge, the structure of understanding your reality. So epistemology speaks to ontology. And then methodology, what tools do we use to know the reality? So remember, you will not know the reality by looking at the tip of the iceberg, the methods. No, you must get down into the sea and look at the assumptions, the logic, and the philosophical underpinnings. So it's very important from now henceforth, as a master, as a postgraduate student, this must be embedded in your mind. And you should not be doubting and beginning to imagine they're just some amorphous words that cannot be understood. So this is my using a Venn diagram. What is a research paradigm? What is a research paradigm? Or what is the interplay between ontology, methodology, epistemology, and the research paradigm? Do you see where the research paradigm sits? A research paradigm has those constructs of ontology, epistemology, and methodology. That's where it sits. So it is part of it. I am not writing their methods, and I want you to think, why is Prof not saying methods, epistemology, and ontology, and then research paradigm? If you look at this whole structure, I want you to see the overlap. That a methodology must overlap with epistemology, must overlap with ontology, and must sit pretty with the research paradigm. I want you to take note of this slide, and I want you to discuss it and give me a write-up as one of your little assignments I'm going to give you. We shall repeat this until the cows come home. The paradigm, positivist, constructivist, and pragmatism. And it is very important for you to understand and predict the methodology. When you get these slides, you predict the methodology and you give us the reality. Obviously, positivism, the reality is objective. This one, reality is subjective. This one is a mixture of both. So the reality is objective. This one is objective here. This one is subjective. This one is both. Now, positivism relates to quantitative. That is the discovery of the laws that govern behavior. And this gentleman, I want you to use AI and tell me, who are these four gentlemen? These are people who have done a lot of work in this area of philosophical paradigms. Constructivist or constructivism is qualitative. For now, let's forget about critical postmodern, that's at PhD level, but we move to pragmatic interventions, interactions, and their effect in multiple contexts. So pragmatic, I would have added there mixed methods. I want us to be grounded in these philosophical underpinnings. Paradigm one, positivism, quantitative research. How does it speak to ontology? This paradigm says that the reality is objective. There's an objective reality that can be measured and we can understand it, and it is through the laws by which it is governed. So when you are doing research and you're a positivist, all you are going to do is to verify laws, essentially. Epistemology employs a scientific discourse derived from the epistemologies of positivism and realism. This all I am saying, that epistemology relates to how knowledge is structured, how the reality is structured. So when I ask you, what is your epistemological stand in this study? I'm just asking you, how have you arrived at your ontological perspectives of what reality is? What process have you used? And that's why I have trouble even with DASTA, the graduate handbook. When I am impeded, in fact, I am actually instructed not to talk about the theoretical standing frameworks of my study. And I'm even told not to talk about my conceptual framework. I get very worried. Yes, because then the epistemology is wrong. I cannot walk from chapter 1 if I have not told you the theoretical frameworks of my study that support the variables I'm engaging in, to walk to chapter 2 to now make references to the studies and citations that support my research. And this is a flaw in thought that I've failed to convince my DASTA community. So they want us to walk from chapter 1 and be silent on the theoretical and conceptual framework. I don't understand that myself. Because the question is, how do you justify your research problem? How? Because the research problem amplifies the gaps, and these gaps you want to address them, and you can only address them if you have a theoretical framework that gives you encouragement to look for the variables that will help you maneuver through the methodology of that research. But that's a difficult point for people to see. And later on, you'll hear those arguments. But for me, I always say, call it redundancy, but in your chapter 1, as you end, you must tell me your conceptual and theoretical framework briefly before you make me cross the bridge into the literature review. This is a very interesting person, René Descartes, very interesting person. Sorry about that. Yeah, very interesting person, René Descartes, and you'll encounter him many times. And he says this: those who are seeking the strict way of truth. Just a minute, let me escape. Just give me a minute. Yeah, let me push this person away and then come back to slideshow. He says that those who are seeking the strict way of truth should not trouble themselves about any object concerning which they cannot have a certainty equal to arithmetic or geometrical demonstration. I don't know, from what I've just talked about, how would you describe René Descartes? Is he a positivist or is he a constructivist? I want you to hold that. He's saying those who are seeking the strict way of truth should not trouble themselves about any objective concerning which they cannot have a certainty equal to arithmetic or geometrical demonstration. Could I have somebody who is courageous to tell me which paradigm is this man sitting in? Jacqueline Musay.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening, Jacqueline.
All right, according to what I've understood, the positivism, and that it is objective, I think he's a constructivist.
He's a constructivist.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Wow. Rajab Wanjala.
I believe that, thank you so much, Prof. I believe the fact that he says something that cannot be certain, they cannot have a certainty equal to arithmetic and geometrical demonstration, that means it's more, he believes in more empirical evidence.
Yeah, measurement and objectivity. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
he's a positivist.
He's a positivist.
Yes.
And you can see in ordinate support and faith in randomized controlled studies. That is measurement. Yeah, you have the control and then you have the actuals, the treated. Why am I saying here? Why am I bringing this here? It's because I'm talking about positivism, quantitative research. So what are the typical positivist research questions? What, how much, relationship between, causes this effect? Best answered with numerical precision, often formulated as hypothesis. So as my students of research, I am now walking with you into the cave. And I'm beginning to tell you that if you are a positivist, you will want to measure, you'll want your reality is objective, and you are talking about what, how much relationship between causes this effect, and measured by numerical precision, like in randomized control studies. And remember now, what am I telling you? Anytime you behave like a positivist, then you must formulate a hypothesis to test that law or theory and reject or uphold it. So I hope we are communicating there. And I've seen Caroline Owor has raised her hand. Let's listen to her. Go ahead, Caroline.
Yes, I wanted to talk about René.
Yes, let me go.
And I wanted to mention that because he's talking about numbers and mathematics, automatically he's a positivist.
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, thank you, Caroline. His reality is objective. It is not subjective. And that's the intention of this lesson. I want you to begin to tag certain things to your worldview or your philosophical underpinning, that anytime somebody tells me they are positivist, what do I expect them to do? I expect them to measure. I will expect them to search for relationship between variables. There will be measurement. So there'll be Likert scales and so on. And then hypotheses begin to be set up to test the laws and the theories that govern that particular. John, are you John?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. My question, I'm asking myself, so do you say that someone is inherently a positivist, that anytime they approach research, they are always going to be approaching it from that angle?
I like that. That is provocative. Let me give you the example of Daystar University. In 2019, when I walked into Daystar, almost 75% of the research studies theses were qualitative. Why? Because people are very reluctant to engage in statistical computations. So when you use the word inherently, you know, you can just carry a bias of an institution. So what we have tried to do now in Daystar is to tell people there is nothing wrong with qualitative or constructivist approach. But the reality in life is that it can't all be tears and interpretations and observations. There must be some measurables. So we are convincing ourselves that we want to walk on a paradigm, a continuum between positivism and constructivism, between qualitative and quantitative, so that we can make meaning of our research findings in various situations. So no, you are not, this is not North and South Pole. Please get me right. It is not North and South Pole. Anastasia, Mbada.
I feel like asking now because my worry or questions were just around what my colleague has just asked. Is there something that guides into what method you're going to use? And is there advantage of using one over the other? Or what exactly will guide you into choosing? This is what exactly, is there the research? Is it the research that you are taking? What is it exactly guides you in what method you're going to use? And is there an advantage over using one method that the other?
Yeah, and those are valid questions. What will lead you to a particular method is actually your research problem. Your research problem, and that's what we are doing. We are building knowledge around you so that we can start writing chapter 1. It is your research problem. What do you want to address? What are the gaps? And can these gaps be answered by interviews and observations? Or can these gaps be answered by quantitative data, measuring things? Yeah, let me give you the example, the performance of SHA. If I gave you that study, how would you know which paradigm to walk in? So I'll be asking, would you want to know how much is dedicated on the SHA initiative? Would you want to go to some hospitals, referral hospitals, and find out what kind of figures are related to this SHA and the type of patients? Would you like to count the number of patients who are already on the SHA platform? Would you like to see the number of private hospitals that accept SHA? Those are all quantitative. But yesterday on TV, there was news about people going to private hospitals and they're turned away. You'll want to capture those voices. Definitely, you'll want to capture those voices and find out. So what if somebody says, my wife, my children, my child, you know, I've come here, they're not accepting this. We were told to pay 1 year insurance for SHA, and now we're not able to be supported. We are pleading to the government to help us. That's very important. You are giving voice to that data. So now, where would you be? You will be a pragmatist, you will take both quantitative and qualitative. So to answer your question, yes, it will depend on your research problem. Okay.
Okay.
I want you to note that as we talk about positivism, we talk about reliability. And I want you to learn, this is the language of research, reliability of your findings. Same results, different times, different researchers. Then the findings of that study are reliable. Validity, the results accurately measure and reliably answer the research questions. In other words, validity, you are measuring what you are supposed to measure. So as you do your research, just note that without reliability, there's no validity. Can you think of a positivist measure that is reliable but not valid? And I always give this example. At home on the farm, I have a weighing machine in the bathroom. And here in Athi River, I have a weighing machine in the bathroom. I know my weight because I keep going to hospital or in the airport. I always jump on the radilis to know my weight. So right now, my current weight is 93 kilograms. Before COVID, I was at 119 kg. So when I come to this bathroom, my weighing machine here is always giving me a value of 91 kg. Anytime. When I go, and of course, this is from the bathroom. You use the towel. Before you do anything, you stand on the, because you don't want to measure shirts and clothes and trousers and towels. No, you stand on the machine. Some people think professors are mad, so that's why they do that. If somebody took a picture, they would think you are really mad. You should be in Madare. But when I go to Soy and I jump on the measuring machine, it is always telling me I am 93 kg all the time. So that measurement in Soy is reliable, is valid. The measuring here at Athi River is reliable because it is constantly giving me that 92, but it is not valid because it is not measuring what it is supposed to measure. So as we do, and this we shall meet in chapter 3, we will want you to tell us how do you establish the reliability and validity of your findings. But I want you to note reliability, consistency, same results, validity, measuring what you are supposed to measure. So those are concepts you need to carry forward. I'm not going to this example. You can look at them. Examples of inquiry. And please read through them because your multiple choice questions will come from such. When you see me say, I'll not go through this, read it. Just know that that is a slippery area. In quantitative studies, you will meet meta-analysis. Again, let me not talk about meta-analysis now. We'll talk about this much, much later when we are giving you different types of research designs for you to use. But just note this, a meta-analysis takes many studies and aggregates the effect sizes, therefore giving us a very large N and more powerful results. If one result gave me a certain outcome, surely if I accumulate 20 studies and measure their effect sizes and aggregate them, those results will be more impactful. That's why people prefer the meta-analysis. So, for example, you can do a systematic review of effectiveness and efficiency of online versus face-to-face. This is a study one can do. Like now, you people are online. Are you as effective as is this as effective as it would be if you are doing face-to-face? So you are going to take various studies and then look at them and work out their effect sizes, their impact. And then these studies become your primary data. And you would then have an exclusion and inclusion criteria and take studies that would then be used for analyzing in your meta-analysis. But I don't want you to worry about this right now. So I'm jumping all that because we are not doing meta-analysis here, but we'll pick it up later on. So what is a summary on quantitative research? It can be useful, especially when fine-tuning well-established practice. Provides incremental gains in knowledge and not revolutionary ones. Why? Because you're just going to prove the truthfulness, the laws, the theories of existing, from existing studies. The need to control context often makes results of little value to practicing professionals. So we have, there's too much control. You're not allowing for dispersion, disruption. So that doesn't add up very well. That's why you then have to augment this with a qualitative study. In times of rapid change, too early quantitative testing may mask beneficial positive capacity. So you can walk in, get data very quickly about SHA, and then you start criticizing the program because those results mask the beneficial positive capacity of SHA if you gave it time to run. And the question is, will we ever be able to afford blind reviewed and random assigned studies? I say yes. And we'll be encouraging most of you to think that way. Paradigm number 2, interpretivist or constructivist paradigm. And I want to give a 10-minute break so that we can have a health break. It's 7:30. Let us get back at 7:45. Caro, over to you.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much. I think since you have a health break, you have questions. You can, after the health break, please raise in the question. You have 14 minutes now to come back. No, is it 13 minutes? So I'll put a timer here, just to remind you that we have a few minutes remaining so that you can follow up with the timer. Then you can ask the question. Thank you, Prof. You can take also. Yes, if you have, you can always post there. Up time.
What a day of rejoicing that we give. would like to resume. I hope everybody's back. I'm encouraged by the numbers today, but we like full house numbers moving forward all the time. So, coordinator, can I proceed? She's also on break.
I think we are still in the room 150.
Okay. Okay, Madeline, thank you. Let us look at the second paradigm, interpretivist and constructivist paradigm. In other words, you can call it either. You interpret observations, meaning, you also construct your own conceptualization of knowledge as you do the research. There are many different varieties, and here you generally answer the question why rather than what, when, or how much. So it's the why. It presents special challenges in distributed context due to distance between participants and researchers. So sometimes it's very hard to interpret what somebody is really saying. Long time ago, my sister was married among the Kabras people in Western, and to them circumcision is a very strong cultural imperative. My sister had only one son, and I was the only uncle. So I was asked to have a bull available, a cow for him. And I then invited 3 of my friends, dignified friends with their wives, and I borrowed a pickup. That time I didn't have a vehicle. I borrowed a pickup from my chairman of the board at Kegoye Secondary School. And so we went. And we arrived there at about 1 o'clock. The home was near the market. And when we were trying to drive in with the cow, they said, no, you can't come in. Your nephew has still gone to the paternal uncles, so we have to wait. That was at Sasaba. The poor boy was arriving with the contingent at about 6 in the evening. And here I am, I had left with these friends. We couldn't leave and go anywhere to look for meals. We had to sit around because we had the cow on the pickup. And so we were allowed to enter the home at 7 in the night. And I couldn't understand. But the worst was still to come. So we were waiting, we were hungry, we had taken a lot of sodas on the market. And I'm talking about interpretivism and constructivism. And then we are there and they are dancing, they are, charging the boy. And then at about 8 o'clock, they bring to where we were a sufuria with unga and about 2 kilos of meat raw and mafuta and firewood. And they expected Agnes and her friends now to start cooking. We were not eating way past midnight. If you try to get meaning in that, it's very different. That you are the uncle, so you cannot enter the home until the boy comes, and then we cannot cook food for you. You have to cook food for yourself and your team. Then I said, why didn't you allow us to start cooking early? We would have bought food, meat, and cooked. So I I want you to note that the constructivist paradigm is not as easy as people think. And in distance education research, you get a lot of these researchers coming through. In the interpretivist paradigm, ontology, world and knowledge created by social and contextual understanding. So the ontology of a particular phenomenon is actually created by the social and contextual understanding. So why our people in Western value circumcision, the practice of dowry, the funeral rites, they are all created by social and contextual understanding. So ontological perspectives become very difficult for a stranger because you're not part of that context. Epistemology, how do we come to understand a unique person's worldview? How do we come? How did we begin to construct value around dowry, value around circumcision, and so on and so forth? How do we come to understand the descriptions we put to twilight girls in Koinange streets and in Mombasa? How do we construct that knowledge around us? And methodology, qualitative methods, narrative, interviews, observations, ethnographic studies. Ethnographic studies are studies where you, the researcher, is the instrument for data collection. You embed yourself in a particular situation. So you get into a COHORT function and you begin to interview and gather information. So you are the instrument for data observation. Then there is case study, and there is also phenomenological studies that are carried out. So this is the interpretivist paradigm or the constructivist paradigm. Look at the ontology. When I send you the slides, look at the epistemology, look at the methodology, contrast it with the other one that we looked at earlier. And you need to carry that in your mind. You see, the ontology for the positivists, there's an objective reality, and we can only understand it through the laws by which it is governed. The epistemology employs a scientific discourse derived from the epistemologies of positivism and realism, and then method, experimental, and deduction. So you must distinguish these two moving forward. Look at this diagram. Look at this drawing. This is by Picasso. Picasso. You know, Picasso is one of the greatest artists. I don't know what you see. It's like the egg and the chick. Some said there were two chicks, and me, I was wondering. I thought there was only one egg. Can one egg bring out two chicks? I don't know. I just thought. Look at this. What do you see? I'm sure many of us are seeing totally different things. I can definitely see somebody sitting on a seat, but I don't know whether they have two faces or one. What am I trying to say? The way we interpret this drawing gives us different meanings. And this is, so when you try to construct knowledge surrounding this picture, people will have very different views. And that's why some people are very doubtful about qualitative studies because of interpretation. When you get this drawing by Picasso, and it is Dora Maar by Picasso, can you search it out and then tell me what does it consist of? Look at this one. This one, Picasso, mother with dead child. You can search this and you're looking at the mother crying. But if you look at her arm, there is a dead child she's holding in the palm of her hand. And people will interpret, I'm talking about interpretivism. They will interpret a given solution very differently. And so the ontological blueprint for interpretive research is very different. You know, the person's understanding, background will actually give you a different description or interpretation of what they are seeing. So what are the typical interpretive research questions? Why? Why? Why this phenomenon? Why poverty? Yes. Why ethnicity? How does the subject understand? What is the lived experience? That's why one time a very close friend of mine, an engineer, we stayed together in Keleleshwa. And one time the girls, he had 2 daughters, they just disappeared. And I kept on asking engineer, where are watoto wako wapi? He's not saying anything. Kumbe he had whisked them away to go for circumcision. What is the lived experience? So that even with education, you are still rooted into the cultural practices. And that's the challenge that comes with qualitative examples. So I'll want you to look at particular Dean-led 2003, student support in open learning, sustaining the process. It has very interesting perspectives of how to carry out a qualitative study example. Since you'll be getting these slides, you look it up. And note that some of you, for your research, might want to deal with a phenomenon. You know, the phenomenon, like, what is the phenomenon currently around in Kenya? The phenomenon of affordable housing. And quite difficult. You'll also learn about grounded theory. We'll come to this later, grounded theory discourse, even more difficult because you are starting from nothing to generate theory. And those are all examples of qualitative studies. You'll go through these examples. Look at, when you see a study like MAN S20, just Google it, get the study, look through it, and see how it is truly a qualitative study. The third paradigm, we are not getting into it, but there are studies. I have written articles about the critique of diploma mills, critical research. The most prominent example, this study was in the papers, and it caused a lot of debate about people awarding degrees for various reasons, so that a university becomes just a diploma mill, and they're churning out all kinds of people who have no qualifications. That's called critical research. But if you think carefully, this is actually mixed method studies. But we don't worry about that third paradigm. I want you to worry about the mixed methods. I'm running to them. This will be our third paradigm, pragmatism. To a pragmatist, the mandate of science is not to find truth or reality, the existence of which are perpetually in dispute, but to facilitate human problem solving. You can check that study, but to a pragmatist, it's not about just science to find truth and reality, but to facilitate human problem solving. So you are pragmatic, you're looking for a solution in each case. So your takeaway from this class is that there are three prominent research paradigms or worldviews, and that is constructivist or interpretivist, positivist or positivism, and pragmatism. And this should be now part of your language register because you are a research student. Now, the pragmatic paradigm, the mixed methods paradigm, it was developed from frustration of the lack of impact of, for example, education research in educational systems. So most people are doing qualitative studies, others were doing quantitative, and there was no impact. What is key to pragmatic paradigm? It is an intervention to solve a problem. It is empirical research in a natural context. So you collect data, qualitative, quantitative. Brings together researchers and practitioners from various paradigms. And we end up developing theory and most importantly, create design principles that will cause change, bring about a solution. What is the ontology? Reality is the practical effects of ideas. That's the reality. You want to be pragmatic, you want to solve a problem out of ideas. What is epistemology? Any way of thinking or doing that leads to pragmatic solutions is useful. So don't tell me I am quantitative, don't tell me I'm qualitative. You'll merge those two to provide a solution. That's the epistemology. That's how learning is structured in the pragmatic paradigm. And the methodology is mixed methods, design-based research, and action research. I want some of you to underline design-based research because I'm going to encourage some of you to do a design methodology research. All you're doing is working out a design for a research. We collect data and we see how that design works. So I would like some of you to do design-based research. We can take you into there. I am not nervous to tell some of you to look at a meta-analysis, even if we don't do the meta-analysis because you haven't done enough statistics, but you can do systematic review of literature at master's level. And then there is action research. That is, you do research to improve practice. I have been distressed by the performance of maths in this country. And it is now time to take the bull by the horns. And I want Daystar to lead that crusade from the School of Education. And we want to do action research and present models to Kenyans on the best way to improve the pedagogy in maths and turn around this depressing statistic where we are told 18% is a pass by the National Examination Council in maths and that 52% is an A. We want to get out of that. So look at typical pragmatic research questions. what can be done to increase literacy of adult learners? Or what can be done to improve the performance of maths in Kenyan primary schools? Can collaborative learning online increase student satisfaction and completion rates? So you see here, you'll be collecting quantitative and qualitative data. Do blog activities increase student satisfaction and learning outcomes? How can we encourage teachers to use more web tools in their classrooms? So those are sorting out problems using or sitting in the pragmatic paradigm. So this is our summary. Sorry, this is a summary. I want you to spend some time. Let me give you 2 minutes to absorb this and then ask questions, and then we'll move on from here. Look at the summary of what we have done today.
Jackie, thank you for having your video throughout the whole class session and listening. Thank you.
Now, I've ignored the critical paradigm. Remember, our interest is positivism, interpretive or constructivist, and then pragmatic. Two more minutes. Oh. All right. Can I have the attention of everybody? We are now summarizing today's lesson. Caroline, or you have a comment or a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on my observation regarding today's session.
Yes.
Understanding, because I've been struggling with these paradigms for some time.
Yes.
But today, in a nutshell, I would say that in positivism, the whole idea, the research is objective.
Yeah.
We are using measurements
Yes.
or scientifically proved tests to come up with our outcome. And our question is, what works? In interpretivism, we are subjective because it is about the individual or the situation or the phenomenon. And here we are concerned about a discussion because you have to get into discussion with this particular individual in order to understand exactly what they think or say about this situation. And we want to ask, why are they behaving the way they are behaving, or why it has to happen in that manner? Then when the two are combined together, then we come up with pragmatism, where the belief, not just the belief, this is where actual solutions are found, because the method must give us a complete solution to the issues that you are looking at. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, that encourages my heart. And I hope that it's not just Caroline, it's every one of us that we have tried to shed some light. By the way, if you are feeling comfortable, and I'm going to give you an assignment, a paper for you to summarize on research paradigms. Once you summarize that paper, you are confident. You'll just walk through your PhD studies. Moses Otieno, comment, yes? Moses, or it was a mistake?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I'm equally reflecting upon the meaning of these three terms.
Yeah.
I'm noticing, and I will really seek to be guided by the class. If my understanding of this is correct so far, that when I talk about constructivism, then I want to discover underlying issues that influences a particular trend.
Yeah.
And that cannot be discovered by data.
Yeah.
It can be discovered by getting to the bottom of the issue to explain why data looks the way it is.
Yes.
And when I'm talking about positivism,
yes,
then I want to find facts as they are shown through data analysis. Then for pragmatic, any approach that can give me a solution will work. So I'm interpreting this to mean that data will work to give me the facts, and then the qualities will work to give me the reasons behind the facts.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that is
very precise. I think you have an understanding, and this is a very, very important. You can call it a reference stage in research, that you are convinced as to the value of these paradigms, these worldviews, and that you can disaggregate each of them and know how they relate to the method, the epistemology, the ontology, and what type of questions, the why, the what, and the intervention to improve the situation. I also want to, I hope some of you are noting my notes, that I want some of you to surprise me by picking on action research, picking on a phenomenon I want to see some of you do a design method research, which is high-level thinking, but I would like to see them come from Daystar. Where else will they come from? Rajab Wanjala.
Thank you so much, Dr. I've always believed as an educationist or an educator, I'm a constructivist by approach based on Piaget. I believe that students construct their own knowledge based on their experiences. Is it something that is related to that theory?
Yeah, it is. It is. But in a learning situation, I think we'll be safer to think in terms of a pragmatic approach like action research, where we are allowing students to conceptualize, to build their own conceptualization of knowledge, but it is anchored in measurable indices. And so it becomes a pragmatic approach. But you're right. Ladies and gentlemen, I still have one section to finish, and I can see I have 15 minutes. So
Yes,
can you?
and Ekuru has been lifting his hands up forever,
Okay.
probably.
Okay, go ahead.
Ekuru?
Prof, thank you. I would like to ask Prof, because during the matriculation, you mentioned about epistemology, ontology, and axiology. So I wanted to Google the meanings of those words, and today I've made the meanings of those words. Now, on axiology, we've not discussed about, but I think it deals with set of values and how different cultures and different people perceive their culture and how their way of living. Can it be applied in the constructivism or the interpretive
Across
approach?
all the
Or
paradigms.
it applies across all the paradigms?
Yeah, but you know, I've just been, this lecture I was giving at the National Defense College. We were talking about education of philosophies and governance. And I was telling them that, we spend 5.6% of our GDP on education. Kenya is ranked among the highest spenders on education by World Bank and UNICEF. And I gave statistics for the top countries like Finland, Denmark, Malaysia, China, how much they spend on education. And Kenya spends a very high proportion of its GDP. But then the question is, why are we not where we are supposed to be? Why are we always talking about Malaysia and Korea, South Korea and Denmark? And why? Why are we not? I've just sent about 11 or 12 of my faculty to Finland to sit in the situation there and look at how they teach. And it's obvious. The elephant in the room is inefficient use of those resources arising out of corruption, value system. So I emphasize value system is really what we are looking for in this country. And you've just reminded me, I wanted to show you this slide before I move on to the concluding remark. I don't know, I hope I can find it. It is very disheartening. And I was just thinking of this slide. I had wanted it to be part of my devotion, but then I decided not to use it. But this slide and this part of your takeaway, there are just 3 slides. You know what Kenyans need to know, us, and maybe not Kenya, let me be fair to us in Africa, is to learn how to be brought low. I think leadership, and I hope God will allow us to engage in the course on leadership together, is you learn how to be brought low. And you don't need to be anyone special to know what it means to be brought low. You know, sometimes these appointments we get, like now, Ayiro, you are the Vice Chancellor of Daystar. I must learn how to be brought low to avoid being, blown off by the power and the niceties of office. And me, I think you don't need to be Job to know what God gives, to know that God gives and takes away. I don't know, that the English doesn't look right, but I'm just saying, you don't need to be Job to know that God gives and takes away. That if you are a vice chancellor or any office that you hold, just know that it is God who has given. And by the way, when you realize that, then you begin to create a value system that makes a difference in the world. So learn how to be brought low. I sometimes wish I had an audience on Uhuru Day, Madaraka Day, or Jamhuri Day to go to the national celebrations and just say one message. Can we as leaders learn what it means to be brought low? And these are notes I was picking, but we can stand up and say with Apostle Paul, I know how to be brought low. Philippians 4:12. If our leaders knew, and I'm talking of church leaders, political leaders, educational leaders, if we knew how to be brought low, then humility, servanthood, love, caring will not be a problem to solve. And then finally for Kenya, I know Abraham, I'm going to ask you to talk, but just, this is what I think in Kenya. I wonder if we shall ever be privileged to have no money. Because money is our problem. So like now, as we are doing this course, this lesson today, during the break, I've just sent to Magdalene 42,000, 43,000 to send for this girl in KMTCCI. Now I'm feeling very privileged. That I don't have money, but I know that I have lifted the heart of an underprivileged individual. But how do I get to do that? I need money. We all need money. My family, why didn't I give this money to my children? No, it's because I can stand up and say, like Apostle Paul, I know how to be brought low. Abraham, pick it up.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you for the helping hand, and you actually completed the fees for the first semester. I work at KMTC, and I know the semester fee, 43,000, is enough to pay for the semester. You have saved a life. Asante sana. Great. Picking up from where we left, I think what we have learned today about the paradigms is also kind of, it will be true that wherever you stand in terms of your philosophical stand, then you can easily say that it will inform the rest of how your research is going to be. Like we are able to know the approach. Let me say, if you're someone who is positivism, we will know your approach. You'll definitely be going for something to go either like deductive or inductive if you have to go for constructivism. And this now help us in the strategy of your research that we are going to follow up, probably to know what else kind of plan of action that you can use to answer your research questions, and even the way they are going to collect your data. And in totality, these things will inform how our methodology will be. So I think it is very right that if all these things are aligned together, then it becomes very smooth without us struggling to know whether we want to use a questionnaire or whether we want to, because if you are positivist, you know these are data, you know the questionnaires, you know what is used to get data for your research questions, and this will be very okay with us. Thank you so much for bringing the topic to us. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Allow me to conclude. I'm just going to introduce this, but I'll pick it up next Thursday. I had hoped I would finish with this, but again, we can't rush when we need to know something. After we have done the paradigms, this is what we are going to deal with. We are going to deal with this, understanding the 7 types of research gaps. Yes, because that's what research is all about. You're going to be searching for these gaps. So understanding the 7 types of research gaps, after you know the philosophical underpinnings, I'll be going through these notes next time, but I want you to be able to know in my research, what am I going to look for? There is the population gap. And some of you will be chasing the population gap in your study. And next Saturday, we'll look at this. This gap concerns a focus on a population that is under-researched or not adequately represented in prior research, e.g. gender, race, ethnicity, age. A population gap is the most common gap recognized by researchers. Then, number 2, there is the empirical gap. We will search out the empirical gap, the gap in empirical studies. So I would like to see some of you go into the empirical gap. This gap is concerned with research findings in prior research that lack empirical research or a subject matter that needs to be evaluated or empirically verified. An empirical gap deals with gaps in prior research. This conflict deals with the research findings or propositions that need to be evaluated or empirically verified. So a lot of you will be saying, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did this in the area of communication and malaria control, but nobody has done this. And that's why you want to do it. So there'll be the empirical gap. One of my favorite areas where I want some of you who are extremely keen is the methodological gap. This study was quantitative in nature without a qualitative perspective, hence the need for this study. So some of you would be looking at the methodology. That's why even those of you who will do a meta-analysis, you are doing a methodological gap. There were many studies done all over on this COVID-19, and these are the variables that stand out. So, but they were done, the exclusion and inclusion criteria was the methodology. So were they qualitative or were they quantitative? Hence the need for a meta-analysis. So there's the methodological gap. And I hope we are able to see. Let me blow it up. Yeah. There's a methodological gap. Then there is the knowledge gap. Yeah. So it's an area and very little knowledge has come through, and you want to do that for your research. Those of you who are really aspiring, they are fired up, they are at the center, there's so much heat, but they have the courage to withstand that heat, and the passion is there, and the intensity of learning is there, and they want to critique and bring out a theoretical gap in their area of study, and then are introducing another theory, or they are giving us different theories to fill that gap. There is the evidence gap, which some of you will pursue, and then there is the practical knowledge gap application. So this will be our next step, and then after this, I'll be feeling confident now to talk about the problem of the statement of the problem in research. So hold on to the deck. We are moving into deeper waters. Thank you very much for your attention, concentration, interest. I truly enjoy teaching this class and teaching the other classes, because for me, that's my calling. You know, he, a Vice Chancellor Nikibarua, sometimes I see people really fight to get it, but I look forward to just peacefully handing over the ISTA, going, and then coming back to teach research methods, drive to Valley Road campus with my car, park, go and teach and go away, or attend a seminar or a defense, or online with my students. Over to Dr. Karo Maka, the coordinator. Thank you very much. And my team, Magdalene and Meshach and the others. You're just wonderful people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. And the students appreciating. Most of you put on videos, just tells us how much you're concentrating. The likes of Vincent and Jackie, Anastasia, Charles, you know, Ireri, all of you, we appreciate, you know, joining in. It's always lonely to be alone on the screen. So when everybody else helps you to be on the screen, you actually know you're not talking to avatars like what we've been doing this afternoon, but talking to human beings. But again, always using emojis to appreciate Prof, and also the comments are coming in. In this class, Prof has also people already hold their PhDs in different universities who are joining in to take this master's program. So I am sure they are literally benefiting a lot here as great researchers who very soon, when they finish this program, I'm sure when they join the faculty members of DASTA, they will be teaching research because they will have really got it very well. Of course, many of you also coming from different types of countries to be able to join in. I think we'll have, you'll be the last person. I just want to give 3 people. The one who's really, really feeling that, well, this one, I am happy I'm in this class. I am happy that I'm doing this. 3 of you, can you have 3 people and then Mark, you'll be the last person, the president to talk. Anastasia?
Thank you so much, Daktari, and thank you, Professor, for this. I think Professor has a special way of speaking to the mind and to the heart. I'm really touched that from his own heart and doing is also reaching out to somebody who is needy. I think that speaks so much for me, that we think about people out there who are not able. I was really pushed to think like we can support Prof in this, because I know this is somebody who needs to reach out to their potential in life. I know we struggle differently, but just a challenge for each one of us, what we can do to this needy person. I think that is what we are called for. That is really speaking to heart, and I'm really touched. Something else that Prof is talking about that is really into the heart is about learning how to be brought low. That speaks to me directly, because as as I take this course and with what I'm doing right now, I had to drop down a few things, and people are wondering, how can you do that? But for me, it's beneficial going to teach a class 1 or a class 2 or class 3 because I'm not able to do as much as I could because of this. For me, it's really coming down. And I really appreciate Prof for always encouraging us to that. All the learnings today, what we have done, of course, was talking to the mind, but I feel very encouraged and I'm happy to be in this class. I go home feeling my heart is full and my mind is full also. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Right, thank you so much, and give another chance to Ian Orunga.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. for the opportunity, and thank you, Prof, for the lecture today. I would say this has been my best class, but I'm also thinking maybe the best is yet to come. Yeah, so thank you for opening up our minds more and expounding to us about the different paradigms. And yeah, I think there are things that we're used to people talking about, and it happens that right now we are also in this class, and you've referred to us as researchers, and it's something that we need to have within our heart and our minds, and I'm glad that you've opened up our minds to that. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much.
Pascal, and then the class president. Thank you so much for the comments on the chat. So definitely, after Pascal, I'll read only 2 or 3, and then we will close the class. The president.
Thank you very much. This is Pascal. Yeah, I'm very grateful to Prof. And I've been inspired to be dancing at the center as opposed to be dancing at the periphery. And this has reminded me of some words which were said by my teacher, a teacher in high school long time ago. He said that if something is worth doing, then do it well. And I think that's why we should be dancing at the center. And this message, I've received it when at a time when I was feeling that specifically my career was at the bottleneck, like I'm not progressing well. And I was thinking like, let me just participate because that's what I can do if I'm not inspired to progress any further. But I've been inspired to dance at the center, and I think I'm going to put more effort in everything I'm doing. With regards to the research and the lecture today, it has reminded me of a part of my career. I've worked as a research nurse, and at that level, I was not dwelling too much in methodology, designs, and everything because the principal investigator was concerned with that. My work was just to collect data, sometimes to collect samples from patients, be it blood samples, be it hair samples, and then sometimes just to fill in the questionnaires. But today I can put everything into perspective. I'm thinking of all the studies I've participated in with University of Nairobi, Kenyatta National Hospital, and University of Washington, their department in Kenya. 2 of them were HIV researches and 1 was reproductive health research. And I'm trying to put all that into perspective, trying to think about the research paradigms, trying to think about what kind of methodology was used, and I'm getting to understand everything more, and I'm getting to know everything better. So thank you very much.
Wow. Great. Thank you so much, Pascal. Thank you.
Thank you, Pascal. So before the president comes in, I'm pretty humbled by the wisdom and how you're teaching, embodiment of virtues as you speak. The way you summarize your work is very magic to most of us here. Of course, some people are still thinking about the chick, or I don't know which chick, but thank God it's written by Juliet Aledi, so that is the chick. Then, of course, we also have Prof's lecture is very insightful. And of course, we have really benefited a lot, and we will get ready into deeper waters. And some of them think you are like John Maxwell, and others think that you really make things look complicated, things look so easy. And they are privileged that, you know, this. And some people have said you'll go to heaven. Thank you. Mark.
Oh my! What an encouragement for us. Yeah, I really that's what fires me up. Just knowing that I'm making a difference. It's not about the money. It's just what you have said there. Yeah. Thank you.
Now, Mark, the president.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc, for this opportunity. Thank you so much to Prof also for a very good presentation. I really like the class today. Honestly, I think this has been one of my best classes since we started learning last week. For many of us that have always been kind of feel worried and fearing when it comes to things to do with research, now we are kind of getting some more of encouragement, and we can't really want to see what will come at the end of it all. I'm also still thinking about the chick. Up to now, I have the mind of the chick, and I don't know where Jacqueline got 2 chicks from. Yeah, and then Prof, as I finish, I saw someone send me a message and asked if someone want to have an appointment to you or with you, where will he or she go first? I think you can answer him or her right now.
Yeah, I think there's a lady on this call, my research officer, Magdalene Kieng. She runs
Yes, sir, I am here.
She's there. So that's the person to contact. And she will definitely make the necessary appointments. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, Prof, this one is a request. I know by the time we meet next, the deadline for the policy analysis assignment will be due. And it was a request on behalf of many that the assignment on policy analysis, we are requesting for submission extension because majority of us are feeling that it is our first time to start reviewing articles, and that their articles were kind of uploaded or submitted late. We are kindly requesting for a submission deadline for that particular assignment. Kindly, Prof. We beg.
Okay. Yeah, but I really would like to have them as fast as possible because I want to give you feedback. This class will be more interesting when you know out of the 60 marks, I have made so many. And my comments, because I read those papers myself. So yes, we'll give you a deadline, but negotiate with the course coordinator and Magdalene Kieng so that we are able to keep with the seriousness of the course. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much. We are just afraid of doing a show the work. We appreciate.
Thank you.
Enjoy your time, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prof. Tomorrow we know you have a long day to be in the Senate, to release the results for last semester. So definitely a long day for you, beginning very early in the morning. For students, we thank you for coming. You are a very vibrant class. You are an A class. Just keep up this, keep the focus, and let's work together. I can assure you, you'll finish your program within the time you have agreed, as long as you keep to this kind of a pace. And don't overwrite on the WhatsApp. You know, you confuse everybody. Just let the president handle it, and we will move on. Thank you so much, Prof, and may God bless you so much and enrich you more. And indeed, as everybody thinks and knows that yes, you'll go to heaven, and all of us will go. So may you have a good night and have a wonderful day. By the way, these students are very bright. By now, some have already downloaded these notes while you are presenting.
Okay.
They have their own apps that support them to ensure they get the work before you send. So it's a very interesting class. I really love them. And bye-bye. Good day.
Okay.